All right. Welcome to another conversation on the Black Male Impact. And as you already know, today we are talking about transformation through intentional impact. But I must say, we start a little bit late because we were having technical difficulty. But we all know that's how the internet works at times. But before we get into the conversation today and even introduce our guests, I just want to thank those who are here with us. And what I'll always do, ask, is that please share this conversation with your network because I guarantee you, you will get something from this conversation today. But I must say, my name is Dr. Richard A. Cross, and today we have as guest Dr. Don Parker. So I'm going to briefly introduce Dr. Parker before we get into the conversation today. Dr. Parker is a TEDx speaker. He's a keynote speaker, not just locally, but also globally. He's an education expert, professional development provider, and he's the author of two books, which we may be able to talk more about throughout the conversation because we know educators will be here tuning in today. And also, he has been an educator for over 30 years, which is really commendable when we hear constantly how important Black males are in the education space. So, Dr. Parker, welcome to the Black Male Impact and today's
Hey,
conversation.
thank you, Dr. Cross. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity to sit down and have this conversation. And before we get started, man, I just really want to give you some flowers and say that you are having a great impact. I love the work that you are doing, and I know that people who we don't even know are benefiting from your platform, benefiting from the knowledge that you share, and also benefiting from this podcast that you host. So thank you for all that you do, my brother.
Man, thank you. I do appreciate it. It's really good, to hear and to know that your work um, is making an impact. So thank
100%.
you. I appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
But before we get into the conversation today, just share a little bit more than what I've shared with the listeners about yourself and the work that you're doing to make a difference.
Okay, 100%. So I started off my career as a health and PE teacher. And my goal was always to just become a health and PE teacher and work with students who were like me, students from historically marginalized communities who had a lot of personal and social issues going on in their life that they had to contend with. And I wanted to do the same thing for those students that my PE teachers and coaches did for me. Because during that time in my life where my father was absent, my coaches really took me under their wing. They taught me life lessons through sports. And, they were my role models. I really looked up to them. And so I remember one day in PE class just asking, hey, you know what? How do I become a PE teacher? Because I want to work with youth in the same way in which you do so I can, give these students hope and inspiration to keep going. So I went to college, earned my bachelor's degree in health and physical education, and became a high school PE teacher and coach. And the principal did a dipsy do on me. Let me tell you what I mean. So when he gave me my schedule, like during the interview, he told me that I was going to be teaching PE classes and also, of course, after school coaching a lot of sports. But the first day of school, when he gave me my schedule, it had all health classes on there. And I was looking at the schedule like, wow, I'm expecting to be in the gym and teach sports skills and things like that. But you know, God has a plan for you that's greater than your own plan.
That's right.
Because when I got in that health class, I had to study those lessons, and a lot of those lessons have a lot to do with social and emotional learning. And with me working with a lot of students who had trauma, and before trauma informed education even became a thing, I was doing that, early in my career, because that health curriculum has a lot to do with social and emotional learning. And I loved it. At the end of the year, he told me that he could give me a lot more PE classes on my schedule. But I was like, you know what, boss? I see that I'm really making a difference in these students' lives, like teaching this curriculum. So yeah, give me a few PE classes, but still, always make sure that I have some health classes on my schedule. And so that's how I really got into learning more about social emotional learning and how to help students make choices that would end up in their favor to help them to be successful. And this is just the way I inspire students and just help them be successful, not only in school, but also in life. And so I just continued doing this work. My career progressed to where I became a dean of students. Then I became an assistant principal over discipline. And then I became assistant principal over curriculum instruction. And then I became assistant principal for activities and athletics. So that's like a fancy title for athletic director. And I was able to marry my love for athletics with my love for educational leadership. And I thought I was going to retire from that position. All I wanted them to do was just like name the gym or the football field after me. That's all I wanted. But fate had it that I became principal of a K through 8 school, and I, continued to work, just working with students. My team, we implemented restorative justice at the school. We trained all the teachers in crisis prevention, intervention, and things like that. And so, just working with students to help them learn academically, but also grow in their emotional intelligence is just my passion.
Man, thank you. And that's a journey,
Hmm.
from a health and wellness teacher or physical education teacher, to being a principal, to the work that you're doing. Now, helping educators to make that connection with the students that they serve, which is really, really important. I know
Hmm.
recently I was reading something that you post about, teachers making the connection with students and how important that is, to get the students to learn, because
Hmm.
without the connection, some students will not dive into the work that they're being given, even though they may have the capability. But sometimes these students do have different challenges that they're dealing with, and they
Hmm.
want to be in classrooms where the teachers really care about who they are as an individual.
Yeah.
I know I came across that, and hopefully I will be able to touch on that throughout the conversation, because that is really important. Not
Yes.
only as educator, but if you are entrusted to be of service to people, you want to be able to make the connection, because that's where the real work happens. When you're able to connect with the people you are entrusted to serve. But as you talk about, your journey and how the principal saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself, and help you to get on the path, which you end up really having a deep passion for it outside of athletics, because you get to make the connection with the students that you were
Hmm.
working with. So I want to start with this, which is about mentorship, actually. We may not get through all the questions that we have today, but
Hmm.
why is it important for Black men to actively mentor the next generation?
Because it's they have knowledge and wisdom that we have not yet obtained, and they can impart so much in us to help us navigate different challenges that they've already faced. They can inspire us, they can motivate us, and they can give us the encouragement that we need in order to pursue our dreams, pursue our goals. They're trailblazers. They walk the path. A lot of them have walked the path already, and of course, we have to walk our own paths. But I'm gonna take this quote from John Maxwell. All right, John Maxwell said that leadership is knowing the way, going the way, and showing the way. And so when we have people who have leaders who have accomplished what we're trying to accomplish, and they have unique experiences that they can share with us, that helps us have an easier path to us reaching our goal. And then also, when we see somebody that pay it forward to us, then we want to pay it forward to someone else as well, because we want to also help the people who are coming behind us. So that's why mentorship is so important uh, when we're working with one another.
Okay, well, I really like that quote. I think I've heard it before, but it's always great to hear some of the things that you have heard before.
Hmm.
So you are reminded of what you need to do, or what we all need to do. So thanks for sharing that quote, because as leaders, as individuals who want to make a difference, it's important that, once we know the way, we need to go the way that we know, and we
Yes.
definitely need to be showing those who are coming behind us the way for them to go forward. So I really, appreciate you bringing that, to us today, and to the listeners, and to remind us how important that is, especially as mentors. Uh,
Yes,
so
sir.
so that which you talk about, that quote, is it what the driving force is about?
Well, kind of in a way. So be the driving force leading your school on the road to equity. So I love just working in school leadership. I love studying how we can improve the culture and climate of schools, how we can increase student achievement, how we can increase students and teachers' feelings of belonging. So the book, Be the Driving Force, is a combination of my research, my experience, and the educational practices that I've learned from theory and then put into practice to see what those factors were that really helped me to lead a successful school. So that's what that book is. And so, in a way, it is sharing some things that I've gone through and some things that I've experienced, some of my ups and downs, some of my mistakes, some of my wins, and it's all in that book. So other people who are also leading schools can read that book and say, you know what, I can learn something from reading this book. And that's the reason I wrote the book, so I can help other educational leaders lead their schools to increase student achievement, to increase teacher effectiveness, and just to create a winning environment for all staff, students, community members, parents, and everyone involved with the school, all the stakeholders.
Man, thank you. As I was listening, so I think it doesn't matter if you're in leadership or just the teacher. We should always be the driving force.
Yes.
When we are entrusted to serve, so be the ones who are going to make the difference, despite our position and the role that we are playing, especially in those environments. Again, where we are entrusted to make a difference. So I'm going to dive into personal transformation and growth, which, kind of what today's conversation is about,
Mhm.
transformation through intentional impact. So, can you share a defining moment in your life that sparked your journey toward intentional impact? I know that you got into, because your principal saw, something in you that you didn't see. But what really sparked your interest to be more intentional about the work that you're doing?
All right, absolutely. So, growing up on the south side of Chicago, I had a lot of influences. All right, some influences were negative, some influences were positive, and I just remember seeing just a lot of atrocities around me, and just witnessing some of the things that I saw some of my friends suffer from, and just seeing the path that some other individuals took. I said, you know what? I don't want that to be my life. I don't want to get caught up in the ills of the environment. And so just seeing those things on a daily basis, I can't say that it was just one defining moment, but I can say it was, just repeated exposure to things that were happening in the environment. It made me want to make more of myself and um, also help others. Like I said before, we once we learn some things and have some life experiences, now we can impart, what we've learned to other people. And so it goes back to what I said earlier in the introduction is I wanted to have the same kind of impact on youth who came from environments similar to mine that my coaches and teachers had on me. And so that was really how I can define my defining moment. Just having exposures having exposure to things that I saw that I didn't want in my own life.
And as you talk about, the things that you have seen around you and how you didn't want that to be your life, and you, like, being that example that it is possible, to overcome those challenges, because people succumb to
Hmm.
those challenges, because as you said, some of your friends, end up on the wrong path, but you
Yes.
saw something and you didn't want that to be your life. But because of
Hmm.
the teachers and the leaders and the people around you, which help you to stay on the path, so I think that is important at times, having those individuals around us who see something in us,
Hmm. Hmm.
to get on the path that is possible for us. And that's one thing that we have to do as Black men. I think we have a obligation, to be honest with you, to be the example. And we can't think that it's only, those who are immediately around us. We should live a way that it becomes an example,
Yes.
for those who may encounter us on the journey, to realize what is possible. So I'm still on. You're about to say something?
Yes. So I agree with you 100%. And, whether people see us and view us as role models or, view us as somebody who they look up to, whether they choose to get to where we are uh, by following our path or following a different path. All right.
Yeah,
The point is exactly what you said. All right. They see, a positive man who is, living his purpose,
correct.
just living with purpose and intention and trying to make a positive impact, not only just in this world, but also on other people. And they can see, okay, I can, do the same thing in my own way and chart their own path. They can see that it's possible as opposed to seeing all the other negativity that they're exposed to.
And I really like that, living with purpose and intention,
Hmm.
because that is important. It's one thing to tell them what we're going to do, but when they see us living with purpose and intention, that solidify whatever we say, to those who we are communicating with. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's a great reminder, to make sure we're living with purpose and
Hmm.
intention. We're still on personal transformation and growth. What daily habits or routines do you practice to ensure you're growing and evolving as a leader?
Oh, absolutely. So there are a number of things that I do every single day. Number one is pray. Number two is meditate. And number three is get some kind of physical activity in every day. And so I pray for my spiritual health, I meditate for my mental health, and I get physical activity, workout, exercise, uh, play basketball. I do all those kind of things for my physical health, and it definitely is part of my routine. So, and another thing that I love to do is I like to say that I read a lot of books, and I do read books, when I have time. But
Yeah,
sometimes what I've done is I downloaded this great app that I love. It's called Headway, and so sometimes I'm not like really sitting down and reading a book, but I can listen to an audio book as I'm working out, or as I'm going for a walk, or if I'm sitting in the airport waiting for my flight, I can listen to a book on tape. And so that's another thing that I do that's part of my routine for my mental and intellectual health. And so these things are just embedded in what I do every day. It's just a practice, it's become a habit. And when I talk about um, listening to a book on tape, all right. If you read the book that's called Atomic Habits, they talk about the importance of stacking habits. And so if you have something that you do on a daily basis, that is good, then maybe you can do something and stack that habit so you can get double impact from that time that you're spending. So in other words, when I worked out, I used to listen to rap music. But then I had the epiphany that, you know what, I'm listening to the same rap songs and I'm not really learning anything. It does serve a purpose to get me hyped. But after the first couple of raps, once I'm hyped, now as I work out, I could also listen to a book on tape and learn something. So that's called stacking habits. I stacked listening to a book on tape onto another healthy habit, which was working out. And that's been very beneficial for me because I've learned so much, just listening to a quick 15 or 20-minute book on tape as I worked out. So now I've accomplished two things at one time.
and that's great. As you talk about listening, to more educational stuff in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I do every time. People often ask me, "Man, where do you get all these ideas to be writing?" And I'm listening to a book or some motivational content, in
Yes.
the gym to really feed my mind. So it keep
Mm-hmm.
adding to what I know. And people will sometimes see me stopping and taking notes. But that's what you shared is really important, especially going back to what you have shared. Living with purpose and intention. So everything we do, it relates to the goal or the impact that we want to have. And once we're living with purpose and intention, it's not going to be hard to get inspiration from the things that we do daily. And I also like that which you shared, pray and meditate. Pray for your spiritual health,
Mm-hmm.
meditate for your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And as Black men, taking care of our health is really important because that is one thing that we often heard or been hearing, that as Black men we don't take care of our health.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to share on that? I know the conversation is not about us and our health, but do you make it a priority because of your health? I know it's a routine and habit, but
All
what do
right.
you have to share on us taking care of our health?
Okay. So absolutely. So you're familiar with the quote that says, "If you're not getting better, you get worse." So it's not like you can work out and get in shape and then stop working out. You have to maintain your physical fitness. And a lot of people make up excuses as to why they can't work out. Like they don't have enough time, or they don't want to pay for a gym membership, or they have too much to do. But I'm gonna tell you, all right, the reason that you have to maintain your health has to be greater than any excuse not to. Okay. And my reason to really maintain my health is just because I'm better. I want to feel good. I want to feel good about the way I look. But the number one reason is because I have a daughter with special needs. And she has something that's called FOXP1 syndrome. And it's a rare disease. And my wife and I found out that she was diagnosed with this disease when she was 4 years old.
Wow.
And so the doctor told us that she had a global delay. And so global delay means she had a speech delay, an intellectual delay, and a physical delay. And after the doctors ran all their batteries of tests and observed her and looked at the data, they said that she would need daily assisted living for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Okay. And so this is my baby girl. I love her to death. So I want to stay around as long as I can to make sure I'm here for her, to make sure that she's okay. Uh, I want to gain as much financial wealth as I can to make sure I leave something for her daily living needs. Like when me and my wife are no longer around. And so I have supreme motivation to stay in shape so I can do what I need to do for not only my daughter with special needs, but also my oldest daughter who's a junior in high school right now. So I want to be there for them. I want to be around for them.
And I don't remember who said it. This guy, he went to the doctor, and doctor told him that he was sick and he needs to start taking care of his health. And he was still trying to go around it, trying not to want to take his health serious, or didn't think he had the time. And the doctor said to him, "Do you want somebody else to walk your daughter down the aisle when she's getting married, or do you want to?" And he
Mm-hmm.
said that moment, because as you shared, the love for your kids, the love for your daughter, really drive you to, stay motivated to take care of your health so you can
Mm-hmm.
be around for them. So listening to you sharing that, took me back to when he was sharing that experience. He got really severely ill, and when he was at the doctor, even though he was saying to himself in the moment that he didn't have the time, but when the doctor bring that to him and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Man, do you want somebody else to walk your daughter down the aisle?" And that's when he started to take his health serious. So that just tell sometimes it's great to have a why that
Yes,
drives us
that's
to
true.
get to the point
You
where
know
we
what,
don't.
Dr. Cross? A
Yes,
lot of people, a lot of people say, I love my family so much I die for my family. Yeah, but I need you to love your family so much that you'll live for your family.
that's
And
right.
I remember when I had a health scare and I went in to see the doctor. This is when I was an athletic director. I was working hours like 7 in the morning. to 9 o'clock at night. All right, just running the school during the day, and then running an extracurricular program in the evenings. And I went to the doctor because I had this severe pain that was in my abdomen. And the doctor said, "Well, are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? You know, what are you doing to maintain your health?" And at that point, I slipped in my healthy habits. And this is what my doctor told me. He said, "Work on yourself, or somebody else will."
Wow.
And that
And
really hit me hard. That really hit me hard. And so I've been committed ever since to just working on myself.
I think it is important, and and you sharing that right now, for those who are listening, it's that they don't have to wait until they get to the point of where they have to. It's
Hmm.
always great to develop the habit
Yes,
before you have to, because it becomes more difficult to work on yourself, right?
that's true.
When you are in the moment and need to do it, it's a bit harder, more than when you start. As you talk about the atomic habit,
Yes.
by James Clear, it's doing those things over and over, no matter how small it is in the moment.
Hmm.
After a while, you're going to get better at it, and also
That's true.
become more confident in doing the thing that you want to do. And we can go on and go on and go on, but I have some questions here that I want to get through before we get to the end of today's conversation.
Hmm.
So my next question to you is, how do you overcome self-doubt and limiting beliefs when striving for transformation?
So I believe in a goal, and I believe that the more and more you invest in something, the more and more it's going to pay off. And
Yeah.
so I believe that if I continue to strive towards whatever goal that I'm trying to reach, then that goal will come to fruition. And so there's a quote that says, if you never give up, you never fail. And so I, not only rely on my own abilities, but I also have faith in God. And I pray about what I should be doing. And I ask Him to use me as an instrument. And I say, if this is your will, then let it be done. And if you want to use me as an instrument to accomplish, whatever goal it is that you want me to accomplish, then I know you're going to support me in reaching that goal. Because the Bible that I read says that you will be successful at anything you do. And so as long as I'm doing, as long as I have the right intentions and use my energy and my focus and it's in the right direction, then I know that if I continue to have faith and continue to work hard and continue to invest in whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish, that it will come to fruition. And we have to have that self determination. And the advice that I got was you have to eliminate self doubt
Correct.
and you have to stretch yourself and you have to work towards those big goals. And you never know how much you can accomplish until you stretch yourself.
That's
And
right.
so I continue to, stretch myself in different areas. I never knew that I would write a book, but I said, you know what, I want to attempt to write a book. And a lot of people have said that they're going to write a book, and this was before AI, right? This was before ChatGPT, and a lot of people had intentions of writing books, but you know they never have published that book. All right, and so that's just an example of a goal that I had. And now I got two books.
Correct.
So that's an example. I really feel like if it's something that is meant for me to accomplish and I work towards that and spend my time and effort and energy on accomplishing that thing, then it will manifest.
I agree with you, man. We sometimes look at the goal itself and think it's too difficult, and to get there is to take the first step.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter how difficult it may seem in that moment, but once you start, you will eventually accomplish it. As you shared, a lot of people have been thinking about doing it, writing books, and still haven't, make that initial step
Hmm.
forward to accomplish that goal. And that's what it is when it comes to um, overcoming self-doubt and limiting beliefs. It's action. It's just to move towards it. And once you
Hmm.
start moving towards it, you'll realize that, man, I can do this thing that I want to do. I just want to shout out, Dr. Richards. He's here. He just shared a comment earlier, and also Mr. White
Right.
shared a comment earlier, which I'll follow up with them. I don't know if you're able to see.
Yes,
Um, so,
yes.
so quite a few people are here with us, and thank you all for being here. And whilst you're here, please go ahead and share the conversation
Hmm.
with your network. I really appreciate it. Which I'm going to go to my next question, still
Hmm.
on personal transformation. What role has mentorship or guidance played in your personal and professional growth? I know you shared a little bit about the importance of mentorship, but what did it play on your personal and professional growth?
Okay. So this is going to throw a little twist in our conversation because I know we talk a lot about black males mentoring other black males, but
Yes,
I want to share a story when I was mentored by a black woman.
correct.
She was the principal at the school when I was a dean, and there was an assistant principal position that came open, and I wanted to apply for the position. And there was also another person at the school who wanted to apply for the position as well. And this lady was the head of the science department. And when she found out that I wanted to apply for the position, I guess she saw me as competition. She said, "Well, Don, uh, this assistant principal position has a lot to do with curriculum and teaching and learning, and all of your experience is in school discipline. So I don't really think you even stand a shot at getting this position."
Wow.
I was like, "Wow, she actually came at me like that." I was shocked. So then I went and I sat and I had a conversation with my boss. And I asked her, I said, "You know what? From what I'm understanding this position is really going to be driven towards being an educational leader and curriculum instruction. And I want like your opinion. Do you think I'm ready for this position?" And she said, "You know what? I see where you have some areas where you can grow in. I'm going to take you under my wing so I can make sure that in the future, when you want to apply for a position like this, that you're going to have everything that you need." And so, whenever she went on classroom observations or classroom walkthroughs, she took me with her. We had to sit down and have conversations about data and conversations about how teachers can grow and improve their practice. She had me sit right there next to her. When it came down to looking at data and analyzing data and seeing what story that the data tells, I was right there with her. She was explaining everything to me. So for 6 months straight, I was her understudy. And she poured into me. She encouraged me. And she let me know that I can have more versatility as an educational leader and add to what I already know about school discipline by becoming a stronger instructional leader and learning more about curriculum and instruction. And so she really mentored me to become a strong educational leader. And I took the lessons that I learned from her and continue to learn more about educational leadership, uh, best instructional practices, evidence based instructional practices, and things of the like, so that I could become a strong educational leader myself. And I always thank her. Her name was Miss Welch, and the school was Hillcrest, and our mascot was Hawks. So we were Hillcrest Hawks. And she was just such a loving and motherly figure that she told everybody in that school to call her Mama Hawk because she just developed that relationship of love, concern, and care. And so I always tip my hat to Mama Hawk and thank her for helping shape the educational leader that I am today.
And as you shared, all mentors for us as black men may not always be black men.
Mm-hmm.
I have several guests, who have, mentors from everywhere, white women, white men, just across the board. Um, that the mentors are just mentors. There are people out there who will see what's possible for you. And as
Mm-hmm.
as your mentor, said to you, that I see areas that you can work on to become the person you are supposed to be.
Yes.
And that's what we have to do. We need to be able and willing, despite what position the person may go and apply for or work towards, we must not see the next person as competition or a threat. We
Hmm.
need to see the person as who they can become and be willing to pour into that person, because that's what mentorship is. And guess what? We ain't going to be in the position that we are in forever.
That's
There are
true.
other people needs to be in the position, and there are other positions out there that we can really direct people to go into. But we have to be willing to give the knowledge we have, share what we know, so others can become who they're capable of becoming. I
You're
really
exactly right.
appreciate.
You're exactly right. And I'm gonna tell you, she taught me how to lead and how to grow other people. And when I became an educational leader and a principal, you know, I made sure that I was also helping other people grow their skills, how to also help them to become better at what it is that they wanted to do. And so you're exactly right. Because there's a African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, take somebody with you. And that's what really leadership is growing other leaders.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and you know what's so funny? It doesn't matter where you are or how far you are ahead of somebody. You can learn from the person that you're
Mhm.
helping.
Oh, 100%. You're
you know,
exactly right.
so we have to be, open. It's not always the person who are ahead we're going to learn from. We can learn from
Hmm.
those who are coming behind us and who we may have the opportunity to guide and to mentor into them becoming the best that they can be. I'm going to switch gear a little bit from personal transformation and growth to community and collective impact. So my first question from that section is, what do you believe are the biggest challenge Black men face today, and how can we address them? What are the challenges that we face, and how can we address them?
That is a loaded question. That is a loaded question. Um, there's, as you know, you're living it, all the challenges that we
Mhm.
have as Black men. And there are, so many challenges that we deal with day in and day out that, let's say, some other people don't have to deal with.
Correct.
Okay. So I think the biggest challenge, what we have to do is just to love who we are. All
Correct.
right. Despite all the messages of, the stereotype and, some of the hate and how some people look at us with disdain and how they've tried to um, corrupt our mind to thinking that, you know, um, we're not valued. All right. What we have to do is like get over that negative rhetoric in our own heads. We have to know that we are made in the way and designed in the way that we're supposed to be made and designed, and that we are great just the way that we are. And I think just boosting our self esteem and understanding that we are valued, we are loved, we are deserving of love, and we have gifts, and we're unique, and we are fearfully and wonderfully made. I think we have to work on our mindset. I think that would be one of the biggest challenges of a lot of Black men, because I know I struggled with that, through my younger years and even through my early adult years, to where I had to really start understanding that I had to accept myself, I had to love myself, and I had to believe in myself. But it was challenging for me to get there, just based on past trauma that I've had and a lot of negative words that really took to heart, you
Yeah.
know. And so that's one thing I will say.
But as you talk about mindset and well, before even mindset, self-esteem. But to go back to what you have shared about the stereotypes and how we sometimes are painted to society.
Hmm.
We have to be dealing with people who may have taken on those false narratives about who we are.
Hmm.
And so when you show up or when we show up, the first thing they may see is not what we're capable of or what we can contribute. but what they may have already believed about
Hmm.
who we are.
Yes,
And it
that's
can be challenging, to go in an environment where you are there to give your best. You are there to make an impact. And even before you get the chance to do it, you are told no, because you may engage with someone who already have a preconceived notion or belief of who we are, which can be challenging.
hmm
That's one thing. But as you said, we have to believe in who we are and whose we are, and know that we are worthy.
You're
Despite
exactly right. You're
yeah,
exactly right. And it went back to even when that lady told me that I didn't have what it took in order to be an assistant principal, or I wasn't deserving of the position because I was a former PE teacher and all my, what can I impart on a math teacher or a science teacher or ELA teacher that will help them grow. And all of my experience was in discipline. And I'm gonna share a story with you. And I heard Teresa Weatherspoon, and she's the former head basketball coach for the Chicago Sky. She was inducted into the Hall of Fame. If you just listen to the last 3 minutes of her Hall of Fame speech, she shares a story about how three frogs fell into this deep hole,
yeah,
and the haters outside of the hole was telling the frogs, "Hey, you can't get out of there. You can't get out that hole. I don't even know why you're trying. There's no way you can jump out of that hole." So one frog gave up and he died out. And then the second frog was trying to get out, and they kept telling him, "Hey, you can't make it. The first frog died out. You just gonna die out too. You don't have what it takes to climb out of this hole. You might as well give up." And he gave up. That third frog kept trying, and he was determined that he was going to get out of that hole. He was not giving up on himself. And next thing you know, he climbed and he jumped and he got out of that hole. And then they said, "How in the world did you get out that hole?" And they realized that that frog was deaf.
wow, wow,
He could not hear all the discouraging methods and all the negative things and all the people tell him that he couldn't accomplish something. He couldn't hear it. And he continued to believe himself and accomplish what he knew he could accomplish.
man, that's a real that's a powerful story.
Hmm.
But just listening to you, know as individuals, what we have to do is turn deaf ears to the naysayers and the
Yes.
doubters, because sometimes they're only projecting their limiting beliefs on us.
Yes. You're exactly right.
Man, that's a powerful story. And
Hmm.
that's a great reminder for all of us who want to make a difference, because there are going to be people who will tell you that it can't happen, that
Hmm.
no, you're not going to achieve that which you want to achieve. Man, that story is really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, I give credit to Teresa Witherspoon, who was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. If you watch the last clip of her Hall of Fame induction speech, she shares that story. She does it in a more colorful way than I did. So go check that out.
Man, that's a really powerful story. And also, to protect, even towards the question, when it comes to those challenges, people may tell us, man, we're not going to overcome some of the things that we are dealing with as black
Hmm.
men. We have to turn a deaf ears,
Yes,
turn deaf ears to those individuals who may think it's not possible, and
that's
keep
true.
doing the work that we believe, because we may not change the world, but we may change one person's life,
That's
which
it.
is really, really important. Still on community and collective impact, how do we shift from individual success to collective advancement in our community?
So I had a real moment of clarity when I just had to check myself. So my wife is from out of town. She's not from Chicago. I grew up, was born and raised in Chicago. Her brother visited us. He stayed with us for the weekend. And we were sitting here and we were watching the news. And you know how, urban news is and what they say in media. If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
And so we're watching the news. We're hearing about all these carjackings and shootings that was taking place in Chicago. And my wife's little brother, my brother-in-law, he said, "Man, I can't watch y'all news. This is depressing."
Wow.
I was like, like I'm numb to it. Like I'm used to hearing this all the time. It doesn't even affect me anymore. I got numb to all the violence that was taking place in the city because I grew up watching the news. I watched it with my mom when I was a kid, so it just didn't have that stinging effect on me as it had on him. And a week later, I was watching the news. And I heard a story about an 8-year-old boy who was shot and killed, and he was shot and killed on this block called that was on 82nd and Damien. And when I heard that story, it touched my heart because the boy was 8 years old. And at that time, my daughter was 8 years old. And he was shot and killed on 82nd and Damon. And I grew up right there on 81st and Damon. And
Wow.
so I was able to empathize with the little boy who was killed and his family. And it really sparked in me like responsibility to do more. And one thing that I did to answer that call is I started a youth mentoring program. And my whole idea when I got this is these youth, they have no aim. And so that's a pun intended with that. And so a lot of times when like little kids get shot, a lot of cases they weren't the ones who were meant to get shot. It was a stray bullet that went, kid was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so the person shooting has no aim. But at the same time, I was thinking the person shooting has no aim. They have no aspiration, they have no inspiration, they have no mentoring. Okay. And so it gave me the idea to just start a youth program where we give students aspiration, inspiration, and mentoring. And so now, since answering that calling, I've run multiple mentoring and resilience programs. And even right now, I work with the local middle school where I go in 1 hour out the week, 1 day a week, and I mentor a group of students who need that guidance. And so that's kind of how we make that collective impact. We have to see what it is that we feel is our calling or something that we can do to impact other lives and then do it. And so a lot of people, they don't really start pursuing their purpose because they always feel like they have to wait till they get an education or wait till they get approved by somebody else. But there's a quote that says, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great.
Oh
So I
yeah.
just said, let me stop waiting around, for the all the stars to align perfectly before I start this mentoring program because I really feel like I want to make an impact. And so I just started doing it right there in the school where I was a principal. I met with my most volatile students, and I started the mentoring program with them, meeting with them once a week. And it's just something that I continue to do. Every school that I was a principal at, I started a mentoring program. And now that I'm a professional speaker, I had gotten away from it, but I'm reminded of that calling. And that's why I reached out to the local middle school and let them know that I was willing to start this program and work with their volatile youth.
Man, that is powerful, and that quote as well is powerful. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started in order to be great.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
man, if I had one of those, you know, thing for the wait, it's not the clapping though, but one of those things that you, yeah, because yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great reminder because a lot of times, as people, we think we have to become something else first
Yes,
before we start. But whatever we want to become, we have to start.
that's
Wherever we
true.
want to give back, we have to start. We don't have to wait until we become more successful
Right.
or in a better position. Sometimes it's just to share a word of kindness which can start the journey. And
It's
thinking
true.
that we may need to be in a different location. They always said if you want to do it, you're going to do it, and the
Hmm.
location and the people will come.
That's
But
true.
if you don't start, you may not get connected with the right people because the right individual
Hmm.
to support your vision may not be right where you are, but you first have to share that which you want, to make a difference or where you want to make a difference. So those who may have the resources can see you doing the work because sometimes the people with the resources don't have the time, but they
Hmm.
want to connect with individuals who can help them to carry out what they have the desire
And,
to
and,
do.
and you know what, Dr. Cross? I think we need to put a pin on that too for your listeners, where we need to encourage them to get started working towards their purpose to what that thing is that they're uniquely made for, so that they can start having that impact because someone is waiting on them.
Oh yeah,
Someone is waiting on them for the skills and the gifts that they have in order to, you know, have their lives positively impacted as well. And the way I use this with my boys in the mentoring program, I said, think about an emergency vehicle, whether it's a fire truck, an ambulance, or a police car. They are all going somewhere and they're going to help somebody. And that
yeah,
person who they're trying to get to, their life is dependent on how fast they can get there. And so when they put on those sirens, everybody else knows, hey, I got to move out the way. I have to yield to these emergency vehicles so they could get to where they're going. I said, I want you guys to be just as focused. You should walk around as if you have a light and a siren flashing on your head to let people know that you're not going to be distracted, that you're going to be determined to get to where you are because you know that your purpose is going to help somebody else and it just might save their life.
man. That is that is so important. A lot of people still waiting to start, and we all have people that what we can do. What we can do is for someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have to wait. We have to get started.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to
Yeah,
start.
it's
And
a
that,
job. A job is what we do for ourselves in order to make a living, but your purpose is what you do to serve others.
man, that is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
We have to one of similar to what one of my mentors, said to me, Dr. Kimbrough. He said, "Service is the rent we pay for our time on earth." We are here to serve others, and we can't wait for things to change before we start.
Mm-hmm.
Given what we have within us for
That's
humanity.
true.
Yeah, we have
And
to.
what your mentor, Dr. Kimbrough, said, like what you said earlier, that's a mic drop moment.
That's right.
That's a
Oh yeah,
mic
man.
drop moment.
Man, that's what I told him when he shared it with me. I tell you, man, it was so profound in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on the journey to make an impact, and someone tell you, it's like a confirmation that you didn't even know you needed to hear. You see what
Yes.
I'm saying? So that was how I felt in that moment when he shared it, with me, and I may need to get him back on the show as well, to
Yes,
share.
get him back on the show because I would love to learn from you and him simultaneously.
Man, Dr. Kimbrough is one of those powerful brothers in this space,
Mm-hmm.
because he started, when we needed the voice,
Mm-hmm.
of Black people who are successful, and that it is
Mm-hmm.
possible, because he was the one that wrote. Think he partnered with the Napoleon Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
the Black, the Think and Grow Rich, a Black
Think and
choice,
grow rich.
a Black choice. So he was looking at what Black people are doing to become millionaires. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so man,
That's
yeah,
some good work. That's some good
yeah, man,
work.
yeah. I'm going to reach back out to him, and I should have already. But yeah, Dr. Kimbrough, he have paved the way for a lot of us who have made a decision
Yes.
to be of impact to our
Yes.
community. But my next question to you before we finish, because time is
Mm-hmm.
going so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but how do we move from just talking about solutions to implementing real, lasting change? Because we do come up with some great ideas, just as you had your idea and you
Mm-hmm.
implement it
Yeah.
regardless. You know that you were supposed to. But how would you encourage someone? I think you kind of said it earlier,
Mm-hmm.
where you say, we don't have to wait until we're great to
Yes.
get started, but to start. But
Mm-hmm.
if you should talk to those who are still thinking about what they want to do, what would you say to them?
I would say, um, don't think that everything has to be perfect. Don't think that you're not going to make mistakes. Don't let the fear of making the mistake stop you from doing what it is that you want to do in order to make an impact. Right? You have to realize that you're learning as you do it. Okay, and as you continue to do it, you will continue to learn more. So eventually you will get it to what you envision. Okay, but if you never start working towards it, that vision will never come to fruition. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid if you don't have this person's support or that person's support. All right, just work towards your vision, step by step, day by day, consistently working towards it, and it will come to fruition. You don't have to have everything be perfect before you get started. All right, you just have to believe in the vision that you have and do something every day that work towards you making that vision come to manifestation.
Man, that is so true, and a needed reminder that we don't have to be perfect, because a lot of times we think we have to. I remember when I just had the idea of having these conversation,
Mm-hmm.
with black men. I tell you, I don't know how long it took for me to get started, because I was looking at all the things that I think I need.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I have things that I've bought to start this thing that I haven't even used yet. I have, man, I have softwares. I haven't, some of those I haven't even taken out of the box. I tell
Mm-hmm.
you, I in the initial stages, I thought I needed all those things, all
Yeah.
those fancy things,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still in the box. And all those mics. I think I have, man, about 5 different mics that I bought because someone said, "Oh, you need that mic," and someone said, "You need that mic." And one day, I don't know who I was talking to, one of my colleagues that I was talking to, and he said, "Man, don't worry about all those things. There are people out there doing the work, and just go ahead and start. I think you have something great. Don't wait for nothing else.
Yep.
Go the simple way, and go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
start." And that's what happened. I started the journey, and I still have all of those equipments. I may need to find ways to sell them back to somebody.
Right, because it wasn't about the equipment. It wasn't about those things that was in a box. It was about those things that you had in your head and heart that you needed to
Correct.
get out.
That's
And
right.
you're exactly right. It wasn't about those things. It was about you.
Correct. Correct. And we always be thinking that we need all those things
Nope.
to get started. But as you said, it's what's in our heart and
Yep.
our minds that we really need to act on.
And
And
and, and that and that calling isn't planted in your heart for no reason.
correct.
There's a reason that you toss and turn in your sleep at night as you think about this. There's a reason that when you see something to that you can have a positive impact on, that if you don't take action, you feel a little guilty about it. And when you do take action, you feel proud that you did. All right. It's a reason for that. And so we cannot ignore those feelings that we have and those thoughts that we have because it is implanted in us for a purpose.
Man, for real, for real, for real. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because there are a lot of people out there still thinking
Hmm.
about doing what they feel strongly about doing. As I say, we didn't get it in our hearts to keep it. We get it to share it with the world and to make connection with the world. I'm just going to shift gear a little bit to intentional leadership and legacy.
Hmm.
The question that I want to start with is, what does intentional leadership mean to you, and how do you embody it in your work? I've seen that you exercise what you say you're going to do, but
Hmm.
share that with the listeners.
All right. So, intentional leadership is when you start with the end in mind. Okay, you know what you want that outcome to be. You know what that vision is. And so now what you do is you use your influence and your resources and your energy and efforts and knowledge and everything that you have to not only work towards that vision, but also to get other people inspired to work towards that vision. And I had a vision of becoming a professional speaker because when I was a assistant principal and principal, I always did presentations on the side to share what I learned through my doctoral studies and through my experience. And um, so I said, okay, I want to become a professional speaker. And so I started speaking more. I started getting more contracts. I started getting more requests to speak. And, now I love that I have really accomplished becoming educational speaker and professional development provider. And a lot of people were reaching out to me. It's like, Don, how can I also become a professional speaker? And so I started coaching people and just not even charging them, but just giving them advice on how they can also have impact through, their experience. And it got to a point where my wife said, Don, you can't spend all your time talking to all these people. We should build a course because online courses were very popular. So I built an online course and it's called How to Increase Your Income and Impact as a Professional Development Provider. And so people all across the United States have purchased my course and they're sharing testimonials with me all the time about how what they've learned through watching the modules has really helped them to not only boost their confidence to become a speaker, but also get them more contracts. So now they can also increase their income and have more impact on the places where they show up to speak. And so what I'm doing now is I have a community of educational professional development providers who I meet with on a biweekly basis. And we talk and share ideas. And we have a mastermind, and it's iron sharpens iron, where we share strategies, techniques, and, you know, um, innovative ways to grow our businesses and to become excellent speakers.
Man, and that's great. You know, I don't remember who I was listening to this past couple of days, and they said, "Man, if you are good at something, there's no problem in getting paid for it," which is a great reminder because the gifts that we have, yes, we can help others, but we still need to survive. So
And
if we are great at it,
you're
there's no.
exactly right. And a follow up to that is sometimes we'll be on this call and somebody will say, Hey, Di, or Hey, Dr. Parker, I really love that picture you posted where you were speaking in front of this audience. Man, that's exciting. I said, Well, guess what? You know what? I don't want you to get excited because I did it. I want you to get excited because you can do it too.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Because that's it's good to be happy for someone, but when you want to do the work itself, it's good to be out there doing it. And
Yes.
sometimes it's just to get the encouragement from someone who have done it, can give you that confidence to believe that you can do it. We're getting close to the end. We may not get again to all the questions, but I
Hmm.
have a couple more questions that I want to ask um, of you. So the next question that I want to ask is, what one thing you believe Black men must do now to secure a better future for the next generation? What we need to do to secure a better future for the next generation?
Okay. So we have to stay healthy. We have to take advantage of opportunities to impart knowledge into the younger generation. We have to understand the importance of generational wealth and how to um, have our money work for us instead of us always working for our money. And we have to impart, just values and um, just values into the younger generation. We have to continue to talk about respect. We have to continue to talk about integrity. We have to continue to talk about perseverance. And those are the kind of values that we need to instill, in the youth who come across our path, who comes across our paths.
I think that those are important. As I said, stay healthy. We can have all the resources that we want. If we're not
Hmm.
healthy, we may not be able to be of great service to those who are coming behind us.
Hmm.
And that's one thing they said we do as Black men. We work, 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 and we don't take care of our health. So it's important. I think that's a great reminder that we stay healthy, keep working on our health, pray, meditate, and engage in physical activities,
Hmm.
because we both need spiritual health, mental health, and physical health to be
And,
able
and
to.
and you're right. And one more thing is we have to encourage one another. All right.
Yes, yes.
We have to be able to pick up a phone or shoot a message on Messenger. Like I shoot you a message, right? Like, hey, Dr. Cross, you killing it, bro. You in the
Oh
gym,
yeah.
you doing your thing. Keep up the great work. All right. We have to. encourage each other. Like, Dr. Cross, you're doing a great job with your podcast. You have such a great reach on LinkedIn. Keep up the good work because you're changing lives. We have to be able to encourage one another and not be afraid that since we're lifting somebody else up, that we're shrinking. Okay,
Correct,
we have to
correct.
eliminate jealousy, we have to eliminate fear, and we have to encourage one another, motivate one another, and keep each other lifted up and encouraged.
Man, that is so important, because the journey can get tough. And but you said something that is really important, that we start making sure we erase the jealousy and the envy, and enough, because enough is out there. And I like to say, I don't remember where I've heard it, but when we encourage others, they always said encouragement to others, it's like magic dust. Once we give that to people, it's always coming back to us, because you can't be so, like, if you encourage somebody or be kind to someone, it's like you feeling good in the moment doing it.
Yes.
So it's a habit that we need to practice,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy just being of good service to others, encourage others, because again, when we do that, it encourages us. I tell you, when I write motivational stuff every day, I'm the first one seeing it and the first one hearing it.
Uh-huh.
So it's boosting me up.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, so when they're telling, man, I'm reading this stuff and it's good for me, I said, you know what, thank you, but it's good for me too. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing. So once we encourage each other, we're going to feel encouraged, in the moment,
Yes.
too. Also, before we get to the end, where I have one more question, but before we
Mm-hmm.
get to that question, where can the listeners find you and support the work that you are doing?
Absolutely. They can find me on my website, and my website is drdonparker.com. And from there, you can shoot me an email. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn handle is Dr. Don Parker, and you can message me there, send a connection request, and then we will connect. And on Instagram, I'm Dr. Don Parker 5, and on Twitter, I'm Dr. Don Parker 1. So if you search my name, I'm sure you can find me and get in touch. And I promise that I will get in touch with you and also connect with you as well.
Man, thanks for sharing that, because the work that you're doing is needed, and there are teachers out there that I know can really benefit
Hmm.
from the work that you're doing, so they
Thank
can
you.
be as effective as they want to be, for the students who they are entrusted to serve. So, my final question to you before we end this conversation, we
Mhm.
definitely will have to, connect again at
Yes.
some point in the future, to have another conversation, especially on leading in challenging schools, because that's one
Hmm.
thing have we hear a lot about,
Hmm.
that some schools are not doing so well, and because you
Hmm.
have success there, it's great to have conversation around that. So my final question to you, based on our conversation, what is one commitment you can make today to increase your impact and transformation, or what we can do to increase our impact and transformation?
Okay. So one thing that we can do is just follow the two C's: stay committed and stay consistent. And as long as we stay committed and stay consistent to our purpose and working towards our goal and working towards the goals of helping others and making sure we have a positive impact on their lives, then we will see that difference and we will see that transformation. Because transformation, yeah, you're right. Sometimes you can have those transformative moments, in a moment, but real transformation takes place over time. And it happens when we're being consistent and when we're staying committed to whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to help and serve other people too. So commitment and consistency.
And that is a great reminder for all of us, and for the listeners who have been here with us. I want to say thank you for tuning in to today's conversation on transformation through intentional impact. One of the things that we love to do, or we try to do, is to bring guests that we believe will share knowledge, perspective, and insights that we all can benefit from as we continue on this journey. So I want to thank also Dr. Parker for being here on the Black Male Impact as we continue to make a difference as we go forward.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Cross. My pleasure.
It's great having you here. And always, the Black Male Impact is where positive changes are inspired. So I hope you are inspired today. Looking forward to our next conversation. Thanks again for being here with us.